Welcome. I am Kanza Azimi, and in this space, we explore the stories behind people who choose to do something meaningful, often beginning with a simple moment of noticing and deciding to act. In these conversations, we talk about the impact these initiatives are creating and the inner journeys behind them, the doubts, the beliefs, the moments of faith, and the courage it takes to begin and go on. Today, I am joined by Sophia Addas, founder of an initiative that helps labor workers fulfill their dreams of their first Umrah. What began as a simple act of noticing has turned into something that has touched the lives of thousands of labor workers and their families. In our conversation, we talk about how this initiative began, the moments that shaped it, the stories that emerged along the way, and where it's headed. Let's begin.
I always wanted to do something like in philanthropy or, a humanitarian mission somewhere in the world or something like that. But, I always did small things. And then when I moved to the UAE, I became friends with one of the girls in the UAE. And one day we were at the gym and she was telling me the story. She was like, I asked her, do you want to go for dinner tonight? And she said, I can't. I need to go to the supermarket because there's this cleaning lady who works in the gym that she worked in. And she said I found her, she was crying in the bathroom. And when I went to ask her, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm hungry. So she said, so I'm going to take her to the supermarket. I'm going to buy her some food and drop it to her camp where she lives. So I said, okay, fine. See you tomorrow. And the next day I saw her and the story was kind of in my mind. So I asked her the next day, so what's the story with this lady? And she said, well, it was this was 2021. And she said, during COVID, her mom passed away with COVID or as a result of COVID or complications after COVID. And her son lived with her mom in a village in Uganda. And so she had to send them all of her savings so that her sister would go to the village, pick up the son, and then bring back the son to where the sister lives. And so she was telling me that it was a really sad situation. So I kept thinking about it and I was like, okay, maybe we can put some money together and give her some money to help her because she has no savings. Her salary, she told me her salary was 1,200 dirhams a month. And then I decided I'm going to put some money together. So I told, people around me, I was like, there's this lady, maybe we can help her. And so we've put together like a very moderate amount, maybe 2,000 dirhams. And I told her, Rawan, my friend, I said, can I go and meet her? I'd love to meet her and give her the money. So we went to meet her and I said, her name was Khadija. I said, Khadija, nice to meet you. This is a little bit of, something to help you. And when she took the 2,000 dirhams, it was like, it's like, someone gives you $1 million, like, oh my God. And then she did sujood and she was like crying. And I was shocked at how much 2,000 dirhams can do for someone. Obviously, we know poverty, lived in Saudi, Jeddah, and of course there's poverty everywhere. But just to see the impact of what that could do, and only by speaking to a couple of people and saying, right, should we put some money together and give it to her? I was driving back home and I was thinking, what can we do that helps her more sustainably? How can we help her? So we put together a plan. We're like, okay, we're going to train her. I'm going to train her to clean, how to clean. So anyways, this one thing led to another and she started coming over to my house every 2 weeks. And then after a year of this, I was thinking, okay, so now she's been working with me for a year. She's doing a bit better, but what else can I do to help her? Should we send her son to a school or I don't know if she wants to buy a house or something. So I was speaking to my husband and I was asking her, like, what can we do? Brainstorming, and he was like, why don't you ask her? What does she want? And I was like, it's a good point. So, went back to the house and she was there and I asked her, Khadija, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And she said, Ya Allah, I would go for Umrah. I was shocked. I was like, really? Umrah, like Saudi, we share a border with Saudi in the UAE. You can just drive there. And she's like, yes, madam. Every month I save 50 dirham so I can put some money aside to go for Umrah because she told me it costs 4,500 dirhams to go to Umrah. I was like, wow, this woman is going to be like 120 before she can afford to go to Umrah. So I was like, okay, let me find out more about that. So I started asking around, how do people go to Umrah? Because I'm Saudi, right? So I didn't know anything about the Umrah visas or the packages or anything like that. So I started speaking to Umrah companies and then I found an Umrah company and they told me, yes, you can send her to Umrah. All we need is her passport, is her Emirates ID and her Emirates ID. okay, how much does it cost? And he told me 4,500 to go by plane and spend 5 days in Mecca and Medina. And he told me there's a guide and he explained everything to me. I was like, okay, great. So I have a private Instagram. So at the time I posted on my private Instagram to my friends and family. I said, okay, this is the story of Khadija and she wants to go to Umrah. For every person who wants to put 1 dirham, I will match it. Within 24 hours, we raised 6,000 dirhams that I had to match. So I had to put my money where my mouth is. So I had to put down 6,000 dirhams. So I called Khadija and I was like, Khadija, looks like you're going to Umrah. And do you have any colleagues who've never been as well?
Wow.
So she picked two colleagues. And so we were able to send three ladies to Umrah. Yeah. And so she went to Umrah and that just completely changed her life. And literally took like a week to get her visa out and, get her on a plane and just everything and just send her. So that was like an eye-opening experience because when she came back, she was so happy. It was like, her biggest dream came true. So it was such a surreal moment to see that. And she would send us pictures of her in Mecca and Medina, like just super happy. She never thought she could go. And on top of that, going for free,
Oh, I love that. I love how it started with just asking her what she wants.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so easy. Like most of the time, if you want to help someone, it's actually much easier than you think. Because you think about all these hurdles of, but how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? At the end of the day, unfortunately, money solves 90% of problems. So if you have the means, then I guess most of the time you can do it. And then after we sent 3 ladies, my friends and family kept asking me, Sophia, can we send anyone else? Can we send anyone else? And I was like, I don't have anyone else.
Oh, wow.
People, there were more people who wanted to send, because obviously also during her trip, I would share pictures of her in Mecca and Medina. And they were all like, I can't believe I helped someone do their first Umrah, perform their first Umrah.
And they're getting a lot of prayers through her, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So then that's how it started. And then more people started, like my friends and family kept coming to me and asking me, can we send someone else? Can we send someone else? And subhanAllah, the life just put these people in my path that had never been to Umrah and wanted to go. So every time it was like there was a T-boy, just a working T-boy somewhere. Turned out he wanted to go. Then there was a family of 12 that we sent from Egypt, from Kafr al-Sheikh. And the Egyptian family, it cost 2,300 dirhams for their package to fly from Egypt for 5 days. Oh, wow. No, not without food, but it was 2,300, like including all transportation, hotels, guided visits and everything. So I ended up sending 17 people in 1 year.
Yeah? 17 people in 1 year.
Yeah, 17 people in 1 year of dealing with the same Umrah company. Well, I started dealing with other Umrah companies and I found the right one, the one that really believes in that. The one that was like, people are coming here and they thought you were a princess. And I was like, what do you mean I'm a princess? They're like, well, they thought that you were a princess, that you had all this money and you're sending them for free. And I was like, but that's not me. And I kept telling them, it's not me. I didn't even put, the only thing I put was the 6,000, but other people put another 6,000. And this is only the 3 people, right? Afterwards, every person that we sent after those 3 people, I didn't put not 1 dirham. It's people around me who wanted to send. So all I was doing was logistics, right? I was like,
and the supply and demand, figuring that out.
Exactly. I was the link between the supply and the demand. That's it. Wow. So then I realized that, there's so many people who want to go. There's so many people who want to go for Umrah, and there's even more people in Dubai who want to send people to Umrah. So
I love that.
Wow, and then one day I went to the 1st of Ramadan, 2024. I went to the Giving Family for the first time and for the iftar meal distribution. And I saw like 12,000 labor workers standing in line for a meal. And I was shocked because I had never seen that many labor workers in the same place. So I looked around and I was like, oh my God, can you imagine if we can send all these guys to Umrah? Like that would be amazing. Obviously, maybe only 90% of them are Muslims, but if the other ones want to convert and want to go, they will be my guest as well. So then I was speaking to my husband, and I was like, all these guys, but I'm not sure if I'm ready. So this is where we're touching upon the self-doubt or how critical you are. Because I was like, I'm not sure I'm ready. Like, how would I be able to send more? Like, how can I upscale this? Right. And this is just like a small initiative with friends and family. Like, if we want to send more, it's going to have to be something set up, something structured, something official, something, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
I love that it started with just people around you, friends and family, people, the cleaner who came to your home, her two people going for the first ever Umrah trip. At that time, I know that this was on a friends and family level. At that time, did you ever think this will become what it has become?
No way. No way. No, never.
Wow. And what has it
never.
become?
So actually, I will invite you to go to www.umrahforlaborworkers.com.
Fulfilling dreams for UAE's labor workforce. Okay. Scrolling down. 51 Umrah buses. 2,386 labor workers. Wow.
Yeah, since April 2024. Yeah,
How?
alhamdulillah. So
Less than 2 years.
So yeah, it's
all
been
right
pretty...
then. Okay, I want to go back to the day that you went to the Giving Family and saw the 12,000 labor workers just there to receive their meals.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So then I was telling my husband, like, oh, I'd love to upscale this, but I don't know if I'm ready. And he said, of course you're ready. You sent 17 people already. So you have that track record, you have that experience. So you know how to deal with the Umrah company, you know what the process is, you know everything. So I was like, okay, let's see. So then I called the Umrah company that I had been dealing with for the 17 people. And I said, Abu Rabah, his name is Abu Rabah. He's from Shirkat al-Suwayr, the Suwayr company based in Saudi, in Mecca. And I said, what is the maximum number of people I can send at once? And how much does it cost? He said, well, why are you sending people by plane? You're in the UAE. It's so close to Saudi. Why don't we send a bus? And I said, a bus? How many people? And he said, well, you can fit 49 people in a bus usually. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, oh, and how much is the price? I asked, how much is the price per person? And he said, the price per person is between 1,100 to 1,500. Yeah, depending on the season. So I was like, that's a lot less than what we've been paying, because we were paying like 4,000, 4,500 per person by plane. And that was including food. So that he said that's including visa, insurance, food, transportation, guided visits, ihram, border tax, everything included. So I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Okay. So then I went to Fadi and Sabrina at the Giving Family and I told them, guys, so there's this Umrah company, and he told me he is happy for people to send him amounts for these packages and just say this is for Umrah Bus UAE. So then he would receive all of the funds, and then we would check how many people sent, like how many people can we send, and if we can fill a full bus, perfect. If we can get only half a bus, fine. So then I told them, I said, guys, do you think people here are going to want to send a labor worker to Umrah? And they said, of course, yes. Okay, let's try this. So then we tried it. And we told people, okay, this is what we're trying to do. This is Shirkat Suwayr, and you can, this is the process. And I set up a system where there's a Google form. So people, every time they make a transfer, they also upload the proof of transfer so that we can do a reconciliation between the company's amount and what people are submitting. So then it was like one bus, 49 people within 2 days or 3 days, I think it was, we were able to fill the full bus. And then I was like, this is amazing. It's like, okay, perfect. Okay, we're going to send one bus. So then people started, when I went back to the Giving Family, every day I was going there to distribute meals. People were asking me, are you Sophia who's sending Umrah buses? And I said, the Umrah bus, one bus. They said, no, please, I didn't have time to buy a package buy a package for a labor worker. Can we please open a second bus? And I was like, guys, I'm so tired. Because also it's not just me doing the reconciliation. It was also me speaking to laborers in the Giving Family and asking, Assalamu alaikum, brother, what's your name? Are you Muslim? Have you been to Umrah before? And I was communicating with them. So I was literally like writing down their information and asking, do you want to go? Do you want to go? Do you want to go? And finding the pilgrims.
Wow. So it was a one-person show.
Yes, it was. Yes. And then after a week, I had the first volunteer. The first girl came to me. Her name is Tasneem. She's still volunteering with us. She said, she's from South Africa. She said, do you need any help with admin or finance or anything like that? I was like, yes, please. help.
God
So
sent.
she started, God sense, literally. So then she started helping me to communicate with the laborers, to review files, to, because once we speak to the laborers, they have to send us their files, and then we have to send them to the Umrah company, and then we confirm, and then we issue the visa. That was the whole process. So then I started having more and more people saying, can I help? Can I help? Can I help? So it was really nice. And, it was like a really nice, a few people in the community getting together to make this happen. So then I agreed to open another bus, the second bus. And at that point, I had like a small team of volunteers helping me. So I was like, guys, are you guys okay with keeping this open and seeing how many buses we can send? Because now that I'm not on my own, I'm happy to do that. And they all said 100%, let's do it. So I was like, okay. So then we
You
left
just
it
have to
open,
be out there. It looks like you just have to let the
literally,
word out, and people come to
subhanallah, it's
you.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy because the most shocking thing for me was I didn't realize there were that many people who wanted to send laborers to Umrah. Like, obviously, I knew there were that many laborers who wanted to go to Umrah because I know Khadija's story. But then I didn't know how many people wanted to send laborers to Umrah. And it was like, because they were also telling me, like, okay, like 1,500 dirhams, that's how much I spend if I go to Zuma or if I go to like any nice restaurant. So if I can send someone for an 8-day trip to go to Medina, to go to Mecca, everything inclusive, yeah, I really want to do that. So then, alhamdulillah, then in 3 weeks, we raised enough for 6 buses.
3 weeks and 6 buses.
6 buses, yeah.
Oh,
6
wow.
buses, that's like 300 people,
So you have 17 people in the first year and then 300 people in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. You have to, I have to ask you, how were you feeling?
Oh, amazing. Exhausted, but amazing. It was very surreal because things were just happening, things were just happening, like people, the Umrah company, the visas, the laborers, like everything was just falling into place. So you didn't have time to think, so then once we got to 6 buses, I was like, okay, we're going to stop here because if it gets too big, then I just needed to get a grip on the whole situation. Like 300 is enough. So then I was like, okay, I went and I spoke to a lawyer and I said, right, this is the situation, a structuring lawyer. I said, this is the situation. So I have a Umrah company. They've received this amount of money. We're going to send this number of buses. But now I want to make sure that I have control over the funds because I'm not a shareholder. I'm not director. I'm not anything in that Umrah company. So I'm not in control of course, other than the written agreement we have between each other, but that's it. So I kind of wanted to make things, more official and structured and safe. And I used to work in restructuring. So I know what happens when things go bad, so I wanted to prevent that from happening.
You mentioned you work in restructuring, and I want to ask you, all of this is happening with you having a full-time job in finance. Is it?
Yeah, thankfully it was Ramadan hours, so it was 9 to 3. But yes, wow. Basically, you just have to manage your time. At that point, I wasn't, I didn't have kids. Well, I don't have kids now on the way, but I didn't have kids. So it's like, this was where all of my spare time was going. Like wow. If you manage things properly, then I think you can achieve a lot. There's 24 hours in the day. Even if you're working 23 hours out of 24, you still have an hour.
So, Sophia, I have known about Umrah for labor workers for almost 2 years now. And I could not have imagined that you are doing this with a full-time job, because I have seen it on your Instagram page, right? All of these buses going, all the admin and paperwork that's required. Of course, you have a team of volunteers, but there's also management of the volunteers, right? And there are many people, including me sometimes, and we think that because we have full-time work, it's just so difficult to start something or do something that can scale up. I love that you're doing this. You have been doing this with a full-time corporate job, and you continue to do this with a full-time corporate job. This is inspiring. So anything that you would encourage others to think about or consider when they're kind of stopping themselves from doing the good that they can do?
So there's a few things. First of all, our buses always leave on a Saturday because that's the only day that nobody's working. So sometimes I work Saudi days, Sunday to Thursday, because of my clients. And most of the volunteers or the team members work from Monday to Friday. So Saturday is the day that the buses always leave and return. I try to make sure that I'm at every bus departure at least. Second of all, finding the right people. Like I have people that I can rely on 100%. Sometimes if I'm busy on a project or I'm busy on a work trip or something like that, I need to completely hand it over to them and I need to trust them. Right. So that's another thing. Like my team is amazing. I can literally close my eyes and not speak to them for 3 weeks and I know buses will continue to go. The third thing is having Umrah companies that are our partners. So they know how we work. They know what we do. They know what level of service we expect. So I don't have to spend too much time, or the team doesn't have to spend too much time following up after them or, being on top of them all the time. So team you can trust, partners and suppliers that you can trust, and time management. I refuse to believe there isn't enough time in a day to do something. Yes, some days I have literally no time to do anything. But you know what? On my way in the taxi from the client's office to the airport, I can send one message and ask, "Hi team, how are things going?" Like there are little moments in your day if you really manage your time properly and if you're passionate about it, right? Like I don't feel like it's work for me. For me, it energizes me. So even when I'm having like crazy days at work, really long hours, I need to, get a report out or do something or have a lot of client meetings and I'm exhausted. When I'm dealing with Umrah for labor workers, my team and my volunteers, it's not draining me. And we have a good basis. We've set up a good base. 51 buses so far. We've learned with every bus. So time management, having the right team that you can rely on and trust. Like you can't imagine how dedicated and hardworking and passionate my team is. And the volunteers, for them, it's like Saturday's the highlight of their week when a bus is leaving. So it's like they're not doing this for me, they're not doing this for them, they're doing this for the community, they're doing this fi sabilillah. So these are little secrets that I think, or very simple recipes that I think help build something, because I could have very easily said, oh, I don't have time, or I need to quit my job to do this, but I'm not doing this as a full-time job. I'm not paying myself a salary, I'm paying my team members, some of them that are with us full-time. Now we have people that have been with us from the beginning. So it's not like, I think if you want to do something and if you have the proper time management and you have the right people, then you should be able to do it. And I'm free to schedule the bus whenever I want. So if I know, for example, I have 1 or 2 months of really, really busy times, and I actually want to be there, then I can just say, okay, these 2 months we don't have buses, But
right. So you have really structured this entire initiative around what works for you and your team as well now. You mentioned there's learning with every bus. I'd love to know some of your key learnings through the years.
Oh my God. The most painful times. The most painful times. I think one of the key learnings is don't trust everybody. Like don't trust every supplier. Because
And you learned it the hard way, it looks like?
Oh yes, 100%. Like some of them will tell you, oh yes, we can issue Umrah visas. Don't worry, we're an Umrah company. And then you get the trade license and you're like, that doesn't say Umrah company. That says you're just a travel or a tourism company, which means you may struggle in issuing visas. Oh, no, don't worry, we'll get it done. And the problem is at the end, they can't issue the visas. And if they were dealing with 1 or 2 labor workers, they would take their money to issue the visa and then say, sorry, we weren't able to issue your visa, bye. But because we have the leverage and we can negotiate and we don't pay unless the visa is issued, then we have that position of power, which is what we've been doing. I think this has been the hardest thing, especially that the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah has really been changing the system and the rights and powers of different companies throughout the globe, and whether Saudi companies can issue Umrah visas for UAE residents or whether it has to be a UAE company and what kind of license they need to have. So all of that, because the Saudis trying to make Umrah easy. They're trying to make it much easier for people to go there. So there's a lot of changes happening and you don't know it unless you're in that sector. So this, I would say, is the hardest thing. But basically, to continue the story that I was sharing with you, that then when I went to the lawyer, I told him in the beginning, I said, okay, I'd like to set up a charity. And then he was like, right? This is not an option. You can't set up like a GoFundMe page or something like that in the UAE. Yes, only the state, because to like basically to fight anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing. They don't allow anyone to just have a charity because they want to know where the money is going. They want to make sure that, things are legit and fine. So then I said, okay, so what can I do? Because what we do so far, what we've been doing unofficially is that we receive the documents from the laborers and we review them. And then we liaise with the Umrah company, send them the documents for them to issue the visa. So we are like the middleman between the laborers and the Umrah company. So what can we do now, especially to control the funds? Because if this Umrah company receives like 1 million dirhams, what do we do, right? I have no control over, and I didn't really want to be in that risk. So he said, it's very simple. Why don't you just set up a tourism company, right? You're the tourism company, just like any tourism company here, and anyone can come to you and buy a package for their driver, for their valet, for anyone, or even if you have labor workers registering with you, then anyone can come and buy a package with them. So the way that it works now is we're a tourism company registered onshore in Dubai, and we have 7,000 labor workers on the waiting list who registered with us to go to Umrah. What we do is we review their documents and then we see whether they're eligible or not, whether they qualify based on their salary level and whether they've been to Umrah before and all of that. So then anyone can go on our website and buy a Umrah package, and then you receive an email that says your package has been allocated to bus number 51, for example, that will be departing from Dubai on the 7th of March. So, and then you're invited to the departure and you see the laborer go on the trip. And on our Instagram, there's highlight stories by bus number.
Yeah.
So each person who ever bought a package knows exactly which bus number they sent. So that's
I
kind
love
of
that
how
system.
it works.
Yeah.
It's very nice because you can see their journey. You see them when they get on the bus, when they arrive in Mecca, they arrive in Medina, all of that. So alhamdulillah, and so far we sent over 2,200 laborers, and alhamdulillah, It's been great. Like the generosity in Dubai is like, people are super, super generous and super nice. And when you're transparent, then it's very easy to do these things because it's like, you see where your money goes. You're like, buy package, I know exactly which bus it covers, and then they go on that date. And that's it.
Amazing, amazing. You started with sending people for 4,500, and then you found out there was a more cost-effective way to do that. And it's now, I think, 1,700 per person?
1,600.
1,600 per person.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what this journey entails for the labor worker, and how is this possible in 1,600 dirhams?
My God, tell me about it. So it includes the Umrah visa, health insurance. They go by bus from Dubai to Medina. They spend 2 nights in Medina in a hotel. They have guided Mazarat visits around Medina. They pray in Rawda, Riyazul Jannah, and then they go and then we give them, the Umrah company on the ground gives them ihram clothing. They teach them how to wear the ihram, and then they make their way to Mecca. And then in Mecca, they spend 3 nights there in a hotel, and then they do Umrah. They have a mutawif with them. They do Mazarat visits. So they visit everything like Jabal Uhud, Jabal Thor, the date farms in Medina, Masjid Qiblatain, Masjid Qiba, all of these, the Masira of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca and Medina, they kind of try to follow those locations. And it includes 3 meals per day and the border tax. And we give them a travel kit. So the travel kit includes like a hygiene pack, toothbrush, toothpaste, miswak, wet wipes, snacks, tasbih, a travel mat, and a reusable water bottle, Umrah for labor workers water bottle, and flip-flops. And we also give them 25 riyal per person pocket money in riyal, so that they can take that and they can, if they need to buy some water, like drinking water, or they want to buy souvenirs, then they can do that as well. So all of that is included in that price.
Wow. So they just have to pick up their passport and leave.
That's right. And their Emirates ID.
And their Emirates ID. Wow.
That's right.
And all of this, I saw in the last bus that was leaving, I think that was bus 51, I saw how when they were seated in the bus, there were envelopes being given to them with the pocket money. And I found that so well thought out that while everything has been taken care of, the food, the transport, the hotels, there's also some additional cash for them to use how they wish.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, we give them the pocket money and we also give them dua books. So there's little
Yeah.
Urdu Arabic dua books and they can read them on the bus. And we give them like a really nice briefing before they go. You know, we tell them you've been chosen out of 7,000 laborers that are on the waiting list. And, you know, you're very lucky and you're going to visit, you know, the house of Allah. You're going to Medina and visit Riyadh Jannah. And they pray Jum'ah in Haram in Mecca before they leave. So for them, it's amazing, you know, and we tell them also, please pray for everyone, pray for Palestine, pray for Bangladesh, pray for Sudan, pray for everyone, and be kind. You're a big group. If there's old people that you need to help, please help them. So, you know, we kind of try to show them that, you know, kind of kindness, you know,
Yeah.
and then they come back and they are just different people, it seems.
When these people come back from Umrah, what do they share?
Oh my God, it's like, I think they will be the biggest ambassadors to the UAE because when they come back, they're like, the UAE sent us to Umrah for free, you know? And they're like,
Yes.
because a lot of them also leave their countries and come to the GCC to be closer to Mecca, right? A lot of them, they dream of one day going to Mecca, one day, you know, completing the fifth pillar of Islam. One day visiting the house of Allah, you know, they feel very privileged because when you're in Mecca, it's like there's no CEO and labor worker and manager and middle manager and senior manager. That doesn't matter. Everybody's next to each other, you know, and when you're by the Kaaba, it's like, if you can touch it, you touch it. You don't have to have a specific title or a specific salary or anything like that. So when they come back, it's a very humbling experience to see them because it also makes you realize how amazing being able to go to Umrah is, you know, and a lot of us forget that. But even, you know, me and a lot of my friends and people that I know who live in Jeddah, always lived in Jeddah, 45 minutes away. You forget how spiritually fulfilling it is, emotionally fulfilling also. So yeah, it's just amazing to see them go through that and come back and, you know, and think like, and then when they see me in the street, sometimes I'm walking in the street and someone's like, Madame Sophia? Yes, I am Mohammed Maqsood from bus number 26, you know, or like they just tell me like, this is my name, this is the bus number I was on. Thank you so much. I go to Umrah, my roommate go to Umrah, my friend go to Umrah, you know, and it's like walking in Dubai sometimes. It's like,
Wow.
so especially in Al Quoz and in
Yeah.
Business Bay, you know, because a lot of them are security guards or valets
Mhm.
or, you know, Kareem drivers or delivery riders, construction workers. So it's just so amazing to see that, wow, and together as a community, we have that impact. It's literally just a question of giving this platform for people to be able to do that. And it's,
Yeah.
mashallah, it's like, so I never thought it would continue. I never thought there would be that many people who are interested to keep it going and to send people. So alhamdulillah, it's a pretty amazing experience. I mean, so far, it would be much better if I can make it a profitable company where I can actually, you know, have that as a proper business and self-sustainable and self-funding and, you know, really grow it for it to be able to become self-sustainable, not only reliant on people buying packages. But inshallah, one day that will come. And, you know, I am brainstorming about ways to make that happen, whether we, you know, branch into a normal Umrah company on the side. You know, there's a lot of things that we can do. But for now, it's like the blessings and the people's generosity who want to send people. So as long as I have people buying packages on our website, I will continue to send people, inshallah.
I love that. What are some of the stories from these labor workers that have really stayed with you?
Oh, on daily basis. Like we receive really nice emails and WhatsApp messages from them on our main number and email. And it's when they come back and they say, you know, like, I never thought I would be chosen to go to Mecca. And the fact that your team did this for me and kindness and someone gifted this to me really shows me that kindness still exists and people really care about us. And you know, I prayed for you. My mother prayed for you. My wife prayed for you. My sister prayed for you. I will forever, you know, pray for you and the team and the Amra for Labor Workers tribe. And so a lot of them, you know, they don't forget, you know, that they were ever able to do that. And I think that when they go back to their countries, I think they really do sing the praises of people in the UAE are amazing, you know?
Yeah, they are ambassadors of the UAE for sure.
100%. Yes, definitely. Mm-mm.
I love
Because
that.
not only the UAE gave them an opportunity for a job, right, where back home it would be much harder, but also they were able to go, to Umrah. And now, recently we started Water for Labor Workers, which is a marketplace company to install water coolers in labor camps that don't have free water, free drinking water. So this is another thing, to make sure that they have access to drinking water and they don't have to pay for it. So, I think all these things show them that people care, because we don't pay taxes in the UAE as individuals. So why not give back to the community in a different way?
I love that take. Yeah, that is such an important reframe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
water is pretty important. I mean, because we were walking in a labor camp once and we were asking the labor workers, like, how can we make your life better? Like, is there anything else other than Umrah? What else would you like to do? And a lot of them told us, well, it would be nice to have a water cooler, or our water cooler is old. We'd like it renewed. And then, subhanAllah, same thing, it's just now we partner with two companies, My Dubai and Al Rayyan. Al Rayyan, they are the suppliers of water coolers. So the water cooler is like a 5 tap, 100 gallon, the big one that you plug in the water system. So it gives continuous cold, clean water. And it can last for up to 3-4 years. And then My Dubai is just sending water bottles. So on our website, waterforlaborworkers.com, you go there and you pick which water product you'd like to send, whether it's, 1.5 liter water bottles or the big 4 gallon water bottles. And then at checkout, there's a drop down list of all the labor camps registered with our website. And you pick where you want it to be delivered, and then you receive pictures of the water being delivered.
Oh, amazing. You're teaching me so many things over here. My assumption was that in these labor camps, they would be getting the water for free anyway. But it looks like that's not the correct assumption for
not always. Yes, a lot of the labor camps don't have free water, and a lot of them have to pay for drinking water, and they also have to pay for washing machines. So they have to pay for almost everything. It's like, it's like being a tenant in a hostel or, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why drinking water, we want to make it free for every labor camp across the UAE. So
how many labor camps are there?
I don't know, a lot. I don't have the exact number, but there are a lot of labor camps. Yeah, there's like millions of labor workers in the UAE.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I love that there is this pattern since the very beginning, 2 years back, where you just ask the people, what is it that will make their lives better? And then you get the answer and you communicate that answer to those around you, and people come together to make that possible.
Exactly. And in such an easy way, there's no bureaucracy, there's no, hurdles or anything difficult. Even before, like if you imagine 10 years ago to apply for an Umrah visa, it was so complicated. You'd have to go to the Saudi embassy, have to apply, have to wait. And now the Saudi government has made it so easy for people to go for Umrah. So, alhamdulillah, no, so far, I mean, things are very easy. That's why I always say, like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just the middle woman between all these amazing people who want to do things and, the amazing labor workers who, can benefit from these things. It's just connecting the dots.
And that takes a lot of courage, right? When you mentioned when you were there, looking at all of these labor workers getting their meals, 12,000 labor workers, you thought about how do I scale what I have today? And of course, it takes courage to go from sending a person who used to come to clean your house to 2,238 people now. I want to know about what were the moments in this journey, Sophia, where you felt like, okay, what next? Or this is too much, or this is not getting where I needed to get to. What were those moments of either self-doubt or just not feeling like this is going somewhere? And how did you overcome that?
So I would say it was between the Ramadan 2024 and Ramadan 2025, because our goal was to send at least one bus per month. And in the beginning, we had good traction, but then we got to a point where we weren't able to fill the buses completely because not enough people were buying packages. So out of 49, we would have only like 38 seats covered. And then we'd have 11 left. So then I'd have to go around and tell everyone I know, like, guys, do you want to buy a seat? There's still 10 seats left, 11 seats left. And that was really hard because my father had to cover a lot of seats. So we could send a full bus, right?
And the bus has to be full for it to depart?
For us to be able to have that price, it has to be full. Yeah. Because they basically charge us by the bus, basically.
Yeah.
Almost. So then that was a bit hard because I was like, every month, I was like, oh, well, this is not really getting as fast or as much traction as I expected it to. And then Ramadan 2025 came and there were podcasts like you that were hosting me for Umrah for labor workers. And then people just started buying packages. Like Ramadan 2025 was crazy. It was amazing. It was like so many podcasts came out and videos came out and people would just see it and understand that you just go on the website, buy package, and then you receive an email. And we raised 32 buses during the month of Ramadan. 32 buses. That was more than 2 buses per month. So then I was like, okay, this might go somewhere. But then, unfortunately, this happened this year. And, you know, people are a bit distracted. And so we don't have the same impact that we had in Ramadan 2025. But I'm hoping, inshallah, that when people see this podcast, that would encourage them. But this is basically where it was kind of difficult to think whether this was going to continue or not. And then what did I do? I just get going. I was like, well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and see what happens.
Things will fall into place.
I was hoping, yes.
Love that. Yeah. And the intention behind doing this podcast in the last 10 days of Ramadan is that it is when giving is at the highest, right? And if this can reach people who would love to send a labor worker for Umrah and donate for that in these last 10 days of Ramadan, then I think our conversation is a success. So I am hoping that this reaches many more people. And I understand fully that, at least for now, in this region, there are so many things going on in people's minds. And at the same time, I believe that with all of this going on, there are people who want to donate, who want to do good, and will make Umrah or Umrahs for labor worker possible once they hear this.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to clarify that we're not a charity, so we don't accept donations. It's more buying a package, right? So we're a tourism company, and people buy a package from our website.
So it's not called a donation.
No, it's not called a donation. It's a package purchase. So people can buy a package on the website. But what we're hoping to do, I think, to be able to really sustain this project and send more labor workers, it would be very helpful if companies who hire labor workers can send buses of their own labor workers. So kind of like a B2B type of model, right? Because we've had a couple of companies who reached out to us who want to send their laborers to Umrah. And obviously, because we sent 51 buses, you know, it's very easy for us. We know the process. We have our trusted providers. We have everything. So, for example, just now we collaborated with Kareem. As a pilot, they sent 5 Kareem drivers completely covered by Kareem, to hopefully, inshallah, be the beginning of a much bigger project where they send a lot more of their drivers to Umrah, inshallah. And we've been contacted by a few more companies now, alhamdulillah, during Ramadan. They want to send their labor workers, whether it's, you know, construction workers or even people working in kitchens or waiters or any kind of, because it's a once in a lifetime gift that you can give your employees, and it's not a recurring cost for a company. So we're hoping, inshallah, through that B2B expansion, will be able to send a lot more laborers, because our target is to send 1 million laborers.
1 million laborers. Yeah. By when?
We're close. I don't have a timeline, to be honest, because I actually don't have a business plan or an expansion plan. It all depends on which avenues open up for us. If the B2B starts, then we might be able to do that, you know, achieve that much faster, because, you know, you have companies that hire hundreds of thousands of laborers. And also we have a lot of people who say, I want to send my driver. So, they buy package, they send us an email, they say, I want to send my driver, I want to send my nanny. So we just sent 2 flights in December for ladies. The first time we sent ladies since Khadija and her colleague. So, you can send even I have people who work, for example, they go to the gym and they know there's valets and cleaners there in their buildings. And they ask them, oh, would you like to go? Have you been to Umrah before? And they say no. So then they share our website. Because if you check our website, there's an option to apply for Umrah. And if you just click on that, the application is in many languages. It's in Hindi, Urdu, Bangla, English, and Arabic. So then anyone that you can send them to Umrah. You can say, have you been to Umrah? No? Okay, here's the link to apply. You take their mobile number and you email it to us. And then we get them on a bus and we let you know. And they go.
Amazing. Wow. So basically, it's about looking around you, trying to see who is it who would really benefit from an Umrah experience completely covered by the sender, and connecting them to you and letting you know that you're interested in sponsoring them or buying a package for them.
Exactly.
It is as simple as that.
Exactly.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes, it's amazing. I have one of our volunteers who sent 5 cleaning men from her building all together. And she came to the bus and she saw them all leave at the same time. They were so happy, they were all able to go together to Umrah. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. Amazing. And I think what the message that you're giving is very much the message that I have been hearing from your story. Just look around you. Just look around you and ask people around you, and whatever tiny good intention you have to put it to action and see the ripple effects of it all.
Yes, 100%, because I think we build hurdles in our minds and we think things are a lot more complicated or harder than they are. But then things actually turn out to be much easier than you think.
Yeah. You started by sending your cleaning lady to Umrah. Today, you have sent more than 2,200 labor workers for Umrah, and you plan to send through the Umrah for Labor Workers initiative 1 million people.
Inshallah. Yes, inshallah.
How does that make you feel?
Very optimistic. Very optimistic, but I think where there's a will, there's a way. We'll find a way to achieve that, inshallah. So yeah, I believe in the good in people and the generosity of people. I've never lived in a place, I lived in France, British Virgin Islands, Channel Islands, and the GCC, and I haven't found a place with as many generous people as the GCC. Saudi and UAE, we have some of the whole GCC really. Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. Every day I receive messages on Instagram, our corporate Instagram account. We receive on a daily basis. How can I do this in Bahrain? How can I do this in Qatar? How can I do this in Oman? People want to send laborers to Umrah all over. So I believe as a community, if we continue working together, inshallah, we'll be able to achieve this. Now, whether I'm the one who achieves the 1 million or my kids are the ones who achieve the 1 million or grandchildren, I don't know, but hopefully, inshallah, we'll achieve it. Yeah. Inshallah.
And 1 million then will just be a beginning to another couple of millions, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah, hopefully, yes.
Are we going to see Umrah for Labor Workers chapters in different countries soon?
Well, inshallah, hopefully, yes. I think that'll be the easiest way to achieve the 1 million. But so far, I haven't had the courage yet to do that. But there are some opportunities. Maybe, inshallah, one day.
Going for an Umrah for a labor worker is an experience of a lifetime. And you, through Umrah for Labor Workers, have been able to provide that experience for more than 2,200 people so far. How has that changed you as a person?
I'm really glad that I was able to do this while I continue to have, the amazing career that I love so much. And by having such an amazing team, the Umrah for Labor Workers team, and the volunteers and the Water for Labor Workers team, I'm able to have that career and also have this happen on the side while I'm sometimes just completely out of it. So I'm very grateful. I never thought that it would be possible. So I even have more faith in, sometimes things can happen without you having all the answers today, maybe in a week or in a month or in a year, and you don't know what it looks like. So trust in God's plan, to make it sound very cheesy, but just, have
that
trust
is the gist of your story.
Pretty much, yeah. And, you'll find hurdles and it's very easy to quit. But, my father always told me when I was growing up, never quit, never give up. You always find a solution. You always find a way around things or. So, yeah, I think that's what it taught me the most.
I love it. My last question is going to be, how can we support you?
There's two websites, Umrah for Labor Workers and Water for Labor Workers. Just go on the website and it's super easy to figure it out. You can either send a person to Umrah or you can send drinking water to a labor camp and you receive pictures and videos of whatever it is that you buy. And so the more people we have, the more we get closer to achieving our target. So please be part of the journey. And thank you so much for hosting Umrah for Labor Workers and spending your time talking about this. This is literally the only way people know about what we're doing, because we don't do any marketing or BD or anything like that. It's just people like you who are interested to know more, and they share it, and the community around us get to know about it and they get involved. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for doing all the amazing work that you do. And thank you for making these journeys of a lifetime possible for, inshallah, 1 million people soon.
Inshallah. Thank you. And big thank you to my team and all the volunteers who show up every Saturday, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. So, and thank you for being our marketing channel. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Kanza.
you,
Appreciate
Sophia.
it.
What began as one idea has allowed more than 2,200 labor workers to fulfill a deeply spiritual journey. If this conversation moved you and you would like to support or learn more about Umrah for labor workers or Water for labor workers, please find the links in the description. And if the story inspired you, please subscribe for more and share it with somebody who might need to hear it today. Thank you for tuning in for this very important conversation.